I have a virus.
Oh, hello gang, my name's Theo, welcome to this thing. We're going to talk about the Siege thing on Netflix. It's the Transformers channel, you know what it is. Spoilers, we bothered about spoilers, you've had a week. If you've got a Netflix login and you're a Transformers fan, you have watched this. And if you haven't, then you're probably not going to. And I'm definitely not going to talk you into it, that's for sure. Real quick non-spoiler version then. It's alright, bit boring. But like I always say with these, I hesitate to call this a review. I don't know if I can really do that. I've got some notes. I'm just gonna talk for a bit and maybe it'll be a good video. All right, shall we do this? So first up, let's talk about the story. So Siege is very much a sort of back to basics, general retelling of the G1 idea with some updated stuff. We come into it sort of post-conquest. The Decepticons have basically already won. They're in power and the Autobots are the Resistance. Huddled up in their cloaked spaceship, hiding in the depths, running low on everything and pretty much at the point of desperation. It basically kicks off when Ultra Magnus decides he's had enough. Optimus Prime won't sign Megatron's peace treaty and Ultra Magnus just decides he's gonna go and try and appeal to Megatron as a friend. He then overhears the Decepticon plot to retrieve the mystical AllSpark and use it to de-res the Autobots, basically brainwash the entire population into subjugation. So Magnus relays that to the Autobots, the Decepticons catch him, torture him, and eventually murder him, which then releases the Alpha Trion protocols, which is a set of like information and safeguards which instills itself into the neutral scavenger Bumblebee, who takes it to the Autobots so they can use it to find the AllSpark before Megatron does and take it into space, which may or may not destroy the planet. So the Decepticons release a virus to counteract the protocols and flush the Autobots out of hiding. They fight, bing bang boom, something something zombies, something something Omega Supreme. The AllSpark goes up into the space bridge and the Autobots go after it. Roll credits. So it's pretty classic Transformer-y stuff. It sort of blends early G1 Energon scarcity with latter-day AllSpark mystical guff into a pretty nice but not terribly interesting Transformers-y mulch. So as far as the story goes, it's fine. It's Transformers at its most marketable. The same old stories for a new audience. It's brand maintenance and it's fine. And it's a lot better than the Prime Wars. So that's pretty much the outline, but it kind of does a lot of its best work with the characters. Right away, I love that they didn't all just know each other already. They weren't just all pre-established best mates. They kind of meet each other and figure each other out a little bit, and that was kind of nice. Like, Bumblebee comes into it as pretty much an outsider. Like, he's not even an Autobot yet. He's pretty much a mercenary Energon scout for hire, and I guess he's kind of the de facto protagonist. Definitely has the most growth, although a lot of it is kind of chosen one convenience. I love that he wasn't just squeaky clean, he had all these shady underworld connections. It was good, I like Bumblebee in this. Optimus as well is kind of pre-peak Optimus. He's not like this all-knowing, grand, wise leader man. Not yet. He's not there yet. He's clearly a little bit desperate and grasping for solutions and just trying to do the right thing. I like that he wasn't just right all the time and people are losing patience with him. Like, he's trying to hatch all these plans to get one over on Megatron and everyone's like, you know you're full of shit, right? I don't know, I enjoyed that he was a little bit fallible. Like, if the Siege toy had a voice chip, it wouldn't be like, I am Optimus Prime. It'd be more like, look, I'm Optimus Prime. Is that alright? Sorry. You got Ultra Magnus, who is fully not on board with Optimus Prime's strategies. He would much rather solve the problem through diplomacy, and God bless him, he gives it his best shot. I love this pathetic disguise as well. Who is that? Reveal yourself. You got Elita 1, who was probably the most relatable. Like, she's just so tired of this. She just wants a better life, but at the same time, she kind of comes to grips with how hopeless it all is, and she kind of realizes that there isn't another way out of this. She knows it's gonna suck, but she's got to do her bit. I wanted the best for her, you know? You got Ratchet, kind of a wandering soul, just barely on board with the Autobot thing. Like, he wears the badge, but he doesn't fully buy in. He's the sort of grizzled old Ratchet who just wants everybody to settle down, but he knows that's not gonna happen, so he's just trying to help in his own way. Wheeljack is doing Wheeljack stuff. Maps and monitors and science stuff, space bridges and that. Fixing engines, doing his thing. And then there's some other Autobots. Cog, Chromia, Sideswipe, Hound, Mirage, RC a bit. Red Alert, Ironhide, just kind of boots on the ground, meet in the room, Autobots doing Autobot stuff. Megatron was probably the most fun to watch. I loved him. Like, he's such a good baddie. He's enormous and terrifying. This metal titan. And like, he's straight up a monster. He's a pure war criminal, but you know that he believes what he's doing is for the benefit of something, and he will stop at nothing And that was pretty frightening, because he's a mad bastard. It's kind of Megatron at his best, because you get the impression that he wasn't possibly beyond redemption until he was, with all the torture and the killing and, you know, the despotism, the genocide, the shooting POWs. Oh, he's a ratbag. Somebody getting murdered. Quality Megatron stuff. Jetfire was quite good. I enjoyed seeing his Decepticon years. I don't know if we've really gone into that before. He's always been the guy who has already quit and is an Autobot now, but we get to see his turn away from the cause, his turn toward the light, and his sort of frenemy rivalry with Starscream as well. I thought that was some good stuff. Starscream just being Starscream with his screechy voice and his "I will be the leader" television gold. Whenever Starscream's on, the whole show lights up. I loved his ending as well when Megatron gives him the promotion and you see the other guys at the back like there was some good stuff in there, do you know what I mean? Shockwave being the science man with the science sound waves around his voice was a bit weird though. It was like, you know, in the intro of Obsolete by Fear Factor, when you can just about hear Gary Newman sort of behind a lot of filters in the distance. It sounded like that. Speak up! It's like they were trying to disguise his voice. Well, I guess that makes sense for Soundwave, right? I liked his HUD, his like cassette-style chest display, intercepting signals and manipulating people. Got Laserbeak on the go. Solid work, Soundwave. Impactor as well, basically the star of the show. He just keeps getting killed, but he has a really good sort of class warfare thing going on with Mirage and a little redemption arc with Ratchet as well, and I really liked this take on Impactor. Spinister, Barricade, some other guys, loads of reflectors, Infinity Seekers, so many Seekers, Skytread, punching Optimus Prime, stay in your lane, bitch. And there's some other cameos in that, but that was basically your characters. I haven't even got to the problems yet. But what I mean is the story was alright. It was serviceable, and a lot of the character stuff was pretty good. I liked, generally, the show on paper. I'm sure it would have made a nice book. But one of the things I was worried about going in was the visual style, because it reminded me a lot of the Prime Wars, of the Machinima stuff, and that was very sketchy and stilted. But, man, it's not even close. Siege is way better. It's really polished, if a bit moody and desaturated. It just didn't have any of the frame rate issues. It didn't look as cheap. Like a lot of the backgrounds and like the establishing vistas and stuff, I'm pretty sure were like illustrations, and I like that, you know, give it some texture. I quite like the little title sequence as well. It's only short, it's only about sort of 10 seconds, but it's just HUD graphics and text. Dead simple, really on brand. Kind of reminded me of like a mid-period Linkin Park video. This is not the end, this is not the beginning, just a voice like a riot rocket every revision. I was a little worried about the robot designs as well, because they are so accurate to the toys. Like, they've got the little Siege blast nubbins and loads of weapon ports going on. Chromia's got all this friggin' kibble. Maybe they actually use the same CAD files from the toy designs. It did take a minute to get used to it, but I did get on board. Bumblebee was a little weird though, because he's not in Siege yet. They haven't done him yet, so his design was clearly separate, and his lines are very heavy. He looks like a sort of PS2 era character model. But it was okay, they got away with it. What else was a bit distracting was how much reuse of the character models there were. I mean, it was alright. You know, they've always done that. Even back to G1, you had like 108 Seekers and 25 different reflectors. It's fine. It just made Cybertron feel a bit sort of small and lonely. Like, even at the very end with the huge epic battle, it still just looks like 15 dudes moshing in a car park. But visually, you know, I think we'll live. We'll get away with it. How's my hair looking? Speaking of visuals, am I doing all right with this? I don't know. I'm not used to having to make an effort with this. The music though, God, so dull. It just sounded like stock music. It really wouldn't amaze me if they just went onto some stock website and searched the word epic and just, that'll do. Imagine some of these scenes with a bit of Vince DiCola under it, some keyboards and a bit of weird sort of synth prog. I think that could have brought it to life a little bit, but it's just so dull. Just no flavor. But that ain't nothing on the real problem. All right, let's just get into this. It's the direction, isn't it? It's the presentation. It's the pacing. It's so slow. It's like agony. It's also stilted and peculiar and drawn out. Everything takes ages. And it's not even, oh God, it's really hot, sorry. Like, it's not a case of there being too much filler. It's like they took about a short movie's worth of material and just flattened it out. And flatten is the word. There's no dynamics. Everybody speaks in the same portentous staccato tenor.
I understand your concern.
With huge...
These hit-and-run missions aren't enough.
Dramatic.
I'm sorry. Understood.
Pause it.
Cincinnati. 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 Come on.
I'm not even really exaggerating. There were times when I really did think, like, is it playing correctly? Is this how it's supposed to be? Did I sit on the remote and switch it to 0.75 speed? It just drains all the impact out of it. I find myself zoning out. It's only 6 episodes, but I just, I can feel my soul leaving my body. For example, there's certain conversations that you can tell, like, as written, it's supposed to be escalating. You have no idea what happened that day. You have no idea what happened for the last 100 years. You have no idea. You know, it's like it's kicking off. But as performed, it's just, you have no idea what happened that day. You have no idea what happened the last 100 years. You have no idea what you did to us. Everybody calm down. Ah, it's agony. Likewise, there are other times when you're watching them stand in a room and speak like this for ages, and then someone laughs, and you're like, oh, that was a joke. Sorry, I couldn't tell because it was delivered like a eulogy. Not that I didn't laugh, I did get a few giggles out of it, but I don't think I was supposed to. Just the heavy tone and the weird dialogue just gets so absurd. There's this one bit with the Decepticons where they're like plotting. They're doing like ominous, nefarious plotting. And you're supposed to be like, oh no, it's going down. But Shockwave just walks into frame like, I have a virus. But like, you know what I mean? Like, right from the first scene, it just feels like you're gonna have a weird afternoon. Episode 1, Scene 1. Wheeljack and Bumblebee are looking for Energon, because reference. They hide from the Decepticons for a bit too long. Then they walk very slowly towards this huge sci-fi door. Like a loading bay, sort of warehouse door. It's clearly a door. And Wheeljack says, hey kid, what's your game? I'm not paying you to lead me to a dead end, you dickhead. And Bumblebee's like, ah-ha-ha, that is what you think, but observe, it is in fact a door. Allow me to operate the secret hatch, then you'll understand that it's secretly a door. You dickhead! That's not verbatim, but that's what happens. But it's so clearly a door. It's a big sci-fi door, and Wheeljack, as a sci-fi robot living on a sci-fi planet, would recognize a sci-fi door. But they just had to squeeze every bit of screen time out of every single action. There's maybe 7 or 8 minutes of story in that episode, and they had to drag it out to 24. And it's double whiplash, because the last Transformers thing I watched was the Cyberverse finale. Because, you know, Cyberverse is not a perfect show, but it moves at a clip, you know, it's snappy, it goes. And the finale in particular takes about an hour's worth of story and just blasts through it in 12 minutes. And now this is way too slow. Just meet me in the middle. I'm losing my mind just a little. It does kind of come to life when there's a battle going on, when it's just action figures smashing into each other. And that's usually the stuff I enjoy the least. I'm old, I want a story. I want some good dialogue that I can get into. I want some levity, anything. But with this, when there's a battle, it's like, oh, something's happening. Oh no, look out, Aquamarine sideswipe. And there's a couple of minutes of okay shooting and punching, and then it's back to standing in a room. Oh, here we go. This war. Cybertron. Autobot. That's another thing, actually. The voices mostly are okay, but there was a few too many bad guys doing the generic Decepticon voice. You know, Autobot, elimination confirmed. Shockwave was doing it, Jetfire a bit, Starscream, it's fine. But Impactor really didn't work for Impactor. Autobot elitist! Because he's like the roughest of the rough, man. He's Impactor. Straight out of the mines, proudly working class hero. He needs like a down-to-earth working man voice, you know, G1 Ironhide, animated scrapper, that kind of voice. All right, let's see what we got. And even like as written, he starts his sentences like really informal. Like he's got this one line, it's okay, Doc. Meant what I said. And that needs a bit of rugged on it, you know? It's okay, Doc. Meant what I said. You know, like real casual. But the way he actually says it is like,
It's okay, Doc. meant what I said.
Like with perfect enunciation. I didn't like that for Impactor. I don't know. Considering it's the first time he's had a voice. I'm not used to doing this much complaining. It kind of doesn't feel good. That's where I'm at. So hot. I can't deal. All right, a bit more, and then we'll get to the nice bit. As I've said, for what this show is, the story was serviceable. I don't want to be the guy who's like, not like that, dickhead, do it the way I want, that you couldn't possibly know about. But did we have to do AllSpark? Because it was my understanding that this was going to be an origin story. But we come in with Energon scrounging, which is the start of G1, and we end with the AllSpark disappearing into the space bridge, which is Cyberverse and animated. And I think Prime? So it's kind of not an origin story, it's kind of a remake. It's stuff we've already seen. By origin story, I thought it was gonna be pre that. Because there's a load of history that's kind of hinted at. Tannhauser Gate, like Alpha Trion, the revolution, the assassination. Tell me that story. That sounds way more interesting than this AllSpark shit. Sounds like more of a War for Cybertron to me. There's this one bit that really twisted me up, actually, that it was even in the show. Like Jetfire comes to the Autobots and he's got some information that he needs their help with. And he goes, it's all right. I'll submit to a neural overload or something like that. Basically a head bomb, a remote control head bomb that they can detonate if they think he's gonna double cross them. I don't know if they went through with it, it doesn't come up again, but he says that they used to use that pre-war, like in law enforcement to keep prisoners in line. And I felt like that was kind of more interesting than what was going on. It's just a tiny little nugget of information about pre-war Cybertron that makes you think, oh, maybe it was pretty f***ed up. No wonder there was a war. So tell me that story. Are we doing Dark and Gritty or what? Come on, let's get horrible. I mean, I don't really like Dark and Gritty, but I'll take it over slow and boring. But alright, that's not fair, is it? That's the show I would have liked. But this is the show we got. So tell me about this treaty. Tell me about these surrender stations. Oh, alright, that's enough complaining. That's my main problems. Unexplored plot threads, bit boring, dreadful pacing. That's basically the issues. But there was also plenty of good stuff in there. I've written this down. I'm just gonna talk for a bit. Just generally some stuff that I noticed. Not a review, just a man talking. A couple of questions about the AllSpark. What is derezzing? I don't know, it's a new thing. It seems bad, it's fine, it doesn't need to be pre-established. At least they did something new. There's a lot of worrying in the show about if they take the AllSpark off the planet, will everything just die? I suppose they wouldn't have done any research into it because it's too high risk, but when they actually do it at the end, all that happens is the sun comes up. Maybe Megatron's a vampire. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's just a goth.
We keep the AllSpark here so it's dark, like my soul. Shut up, mum.
Another thing, this isn't, I don't know, this is just a thing. Right early on, when Megatron and Shockwave are discussing where the AllSpark is, they need to go and get it. But they find out that Ultra Magnus is relaying that to headquarters, and Megatron goes,
Maybe we should help them find it.
So what I thought was going to happen was they were going to drip feed the location of the AllSpark to the Autobots so that they have to go and do all the questing and fight all the, I don't know, ground worms and that, and do all the puzzles. If we do an AllSpark, let's do full AllSpark quest to the core of Cybertron. Something like that, some kind of Indiana Jones adventure. I would have been up for that, but instead they just make the Autobots go down a dead end so they can shoot them with a gun. Back to Impactor, anyway, his thing with Mirage I really liked. Like, despite its weird delivery, it was still sort of interesting, and it made the Versus 2-pack make sense, didn't it? Like, it wasn't an actual battle, it was just general class warfare in a box.
27 years in the filth and the dirt of the street, and there ain't no music down there. You watch the people in the streets killing each other, pumping dope through their veins, while big men like you sit in the fancy penthouses.
And also that red cog makes sense now, doesn't it? Because there's friggin' hundreds of them. I enjoyed Starscream's weird sort of supremacist rant where he's talking about keeping the races pure and that kind of shit. And then Megatron comes in and immediately shuts it down. See? He may be a genocidal maniac, but at least he's not a racist. I did enjoy that Bumblebee was pretty much Cloud.
This is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
And later on, the baddies are talking about they've caught the Autobots heading for Sector 7. Oh no, Tifa's bar. Oh, mate, the bit with Sound Blaster. Love that. The whole little mission where Bumblebee and RC and Cog go to get some Energon from him, I suppose. But like, oh, he's so awesome. I love that they made Sound Blaster a different guy. Bumblebee's like, yeah, he's a Soundwave clone. but don't bring it up. He hates it. Plus, he's a maniac. I was just waiting for the, I can hear you. He's sitting right there. But what was their plan? Were they making all these risks just to steal 2 little globs of energon? Can RC secretly turn into a flatbed? And they scan them for weapons. And Cog's standing right there. He's a man made of guns. Oh, come in, mate, it's fine. I was kind of surprised not to see Exhaust at that point, because he's a mercenary, right? And they already had the Wheeljack character model. It would have been... That doesn't matter, does it? Is this things I liked in the show, or is it, here's how I would have done it? Bit of both, bit of both. And right after that, they go back to base, and RC's like, oh, what's going on? And Elita 1 goes, oh, we're in trouble, or whatever. I'm like, ha, I see you, Bechtel test. One sort of unfortunate side effect of the very toy-accurate character models was Optimus had a second face on the back of his head, but you only see it during really sad moments. He's turned away, or, oh, I'm sorry. A couple of mildly disappointing fake-outs in there, like Bumblebee's talking about he's got contacts with Dreadwing. I'm like, oh, Dreadwing, all right then. But nah, they were setting up going to the Sea of Rust. I'm like, oh, Sea of Rust, Victorion. But nah, doesn't happen. I did like actually when they went to the Sea of Rust and Jetfire's like, there's a trick to avoiding the vortex. It just hits them immediately. But I don't know, was that supposed to be funny? Because it was kind of funny, but I don't know if it was on purpose. It didn't seem like it was being played for laughs. It's a friggin' show. I don't know. Was any of the good stuff good on purpose? Bit of the odd fan service. I didn't hear a one shall stand, one shall fall, but I did enjoy the till all are one being shouted by Megatron like a big fascist.
We will bend them to our will.
Like, oh, that could mean a different thing. Man, context is everything for real. I have a virus. Did notice a couple of botched fan service moments as well. Like at the very end, Bumblebee faces Megatron and he goes, not today. I would have liked to, not today, Megatron. Because like the classic line is,
not today, Galvatron.
So I would have liked a little not today, Megatron. Just to, you know, it's the very end, just put a button on it. Oh God, at one point, Refractor, he's beating somebody up and he goes, I'll rip out your circuits. Because it's I'll rip out your optics, isn't it?
I'll rip out your optics.
And then later on, Starscream goes, I'll rip your optics out. Just say the line. If you're gonna say the line, say it. One shall stand, one shall not. Guess we should briefly touch on the toys, because it is in service of the toy line, isn't it? It's a big toy advert. It did kind of make me want an Ultra Magnus. He's one of the only ones I missed, and because I got the Galaxy Upgrade Optimus instead. So it did kind of make me think maybe I should get an Ultra Magnus. I don't know. It definitely made me appreciate the ones I've got, though. Wheeljack, Barricade, Mirage, I love them now. Jetfire, in particular. Didn't have a lot of time for this guy before, but now I'm really glad he's here. Ooh, he's a baddie today. Ooh. Why did he have a sword? Like a big blue lightsaber thing? And there is, I don't think there is a big blue lightsaber in the whole toy line, is there? I have to use Vector Prime's one. Where was Springer? In fact, never mind where was Ape Face? But my main takeaway toy-wise was, just like the toy line, Astro Train showed up, and then it was over. What the hell was that with Astro Train? He's huge! He's in 2 shots. I've always wanted to see gigantic Astro Train. Cyberverse did it alright, but Siege, they put him in for like 4 frames. Like, they went to the whole trouble of modeling it. God knows they got their money's worth on the rest of the designs. It doesn't matter. It's just, I like Astro Train. I know you've got him now. You have to show me. Let me see. Please let me see. I think that's about it. I think I've talked it to death, and has this been good? I don't know. But in conclusion, I did not mind it. There was a lot of problems. I'm not going to sit here and say I loved it. Initial impressions were very sour. It is at times intolerably slow and actually quite dry. And I don't know how many more times I can watch the AllSpark disappear into a space bridge. We've done that, bro. But having got a bit of distance from it, I've watched it twice now, and I am kind of warming to it. This is one where I can see myself getting the urge to come back to it, like every 2 or 3 weeks, because it's there, innit? It's on there. I can see it becoming cozy. It's like having the snooker on. You can just stick it on, drift in and out, sort of look at your phone, doze off, wake up again when you hear laser guns. And I am pretty confident you could take this material, zazz it up a bit, give it a Red Bull, do some retakes, and chop it down to a really solid 90-minute Transformers film. So like, if you like Transformers and have a Netflix login, maybe check it out. For me, being who I am, in the world I inhabit, it was all right. Bit boring, generally okay. Check it out. bring snacks. If I wasn't already a fan, I don't know how much I would have got out of this. Maybe a nostalgia hit. Oh, Soundwave. Maybe on that level, it could be kind of fun, but would kids like this? Maybe older kids? I don't know. I feel like it'd be too dry. If Siege was your first Transformers thing, I can't imagine. It's probably more easygoing for a new audience than the live action movies were. Although, tell that to the box office. What did you think? Let me know. Anyone outside the bubble want to weigh in on this? I don't know. Is it good? Did you have a good time with it? I have no perspective. I'm so deep in I am the bubble. I just can't imagine what this would look like. Someone outside of this world. All right, I guess we'll leave it there. I mean, that's everything I had to say. Did I like it? Is it good? It's very, I'm boiling. I'm dead. It's so hot today. Why am I filming today? Why did I layer up? Thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking around to the end if you made it. Good work. Thank you. And indeed, good night. Alright, thank you for watching, and thank you to everybody on the list. You are simply too kind to me. And big special thanks this time to Dominique Valencia. What a legend. Peace.
Be sure to subscribe for more Thew's Awesome Transformers reviews. 2 waves late since 2008.